This is my incredible golden door, my entry into show business at large. Mel Brooks built a career turning discomfort into laughter. He made fun of power, history, fear, and cruelty. He never did it from far away, but right from inside the hurt. His movies made people laugh at things everyone said you couldn't touch. How long I've waited for the pleasure of another human being. And sometimes in our patient with worldly matters. But some moments never faded for him. Certain scenes stuck around long after the clapping stopped, not because they were bad, but because they showed something uncomfortable about comedy, what he meant to do, and the truth. These are the 5 scenes Mel Brooks says still haunt him. Stay with us. Number 1, the campfire scene in Blazing Saddles. What looked like rude, throwaway jokes was really a smart way to break down the myth of the American Western. The campfire scene took heroic tough guys and showed how silly and human they really are. What haunted Mel Brooks was not the joke, but how easily the laughter showed that the audience was okay with stereotypes when the satire came too quick. Blazing Saddles was made on purpose to shake things up. Mel Brooks knew the Western wasn't just a type of movie, but a dream about morals. Clean good guys, clear bad guys, and a version of history cleaned up to avoid anything messy. The campfire scene was there to smash that dream in the most direct way. By turning legendary cowboys into real people with body stuff, Brooks reminded everyone that these heroes were made up, not real. The humor worked because it felt uneasy, because it took away dignity without warning. But during editing, Brooks felt worried. The laughs in test showings came fast and loud, and not always for the reasons he wanted. He later said that comedy walks a thin line between showing truth and just letting people enjoy bad stuff. As Mel Brooks once said, satire is supposed to hurt the target, not comfort the audience. The worry wasn't about people getting mad. It was about the joke missing the point. When a joke goes too fast, people can like it without getting it. Where the scene was placed mattered as much as what happened in it. It comes early, before viewers get comfortable with the movie style. Brooks wanted to warn that nothing was safe, not even what the audience thought was okay taste. But that quickness also didn't give time to think. The joke exploded and the movie moved on. Some people got the point right away. Others just liked breaking the rule, without seeing the deeper message. Over the years, Brooks said this scene stayed with him because it showed a truth about comedy he couldn't control. People bring their own ideas into laughs. He later said something like, once a joke leaves the screen, it doesn't belong to the person who made it anymore. What haunted him was seeing that satire doesn't teach everyone automatically. It only makes people think if they stop to think. The campfire scene turned into one of the most watched parts of Blazing Saddles. People share it a lot without the full story, taking away its real purpose. Brooks never said sorry for it, but he kept it in mind as a reminder. Comedy can break down made-up stories, but it can also show how much people hold onto them. That scene did what it was meant to do. What bothered Brooks was finding out how many people laughed without seeing what got broken apart. Number 2, Springtime for Hitler and the Producers. This scene was made to make fun of it, not to cheer it on. Mel Brooks knew the danger as soon as he thought of it. Turning fascism into a big show was supposed to take away its strength. What stayed with him was learning that satire needs the right setting. And once it's out there, the setting isn't promised anymore. The Producers was built on an idea that made lots of people nervous even before filming started. Brooks thought making fun could take away fear's power by showing how silly it is. Springtime for Hitler was planned as a big stage failure of scary stuff. Marching turned into silly dancing, big ideas turned into nonsense. The outfits were over the top, the dance moves clumsy on purpose, the words too fancy and embarrassing. Brooks wanted the audience to feel how wrong it was right away, to see that the show was empty, puffed up, and ridiculous by plan. Every part. When the movie came out, the laughs were huge. Too huge. Brooks later said the sound of the crowd stayed with him long after it ended. The joke hit, but it hit in different ways. Some people laughed at how it showed off fake powerful shows. Others laughed just at the show itself. That difference really mattered to him. As Mel Brooks once said, satire is supposed to hurt the target, not comfort the audience. The worry wasn't anger or pushback. It was people not getting it. What bothered Brooks was seeing that satire needs everyone to share the same basic right and wrong ideas. The scene needed viewers to already know why fascism should be made fun of. Without that, the pictures could float away from what he meant. Comedy, can't make people see it one way. It can only ask them to. And once a joke gets remembered, it can get repeated without the thinking that was around it at first. Over time, Springtime for Hitler became one of the most talked about parts of his work. Brooks thought about how easy it is for signs to lose their meaning when they go into normal culture. He later said something like, "Once satire leaves the maker's hands, it belongs fully to the people watching. You give the joke away and you lose control of what happens to it." That loss of control was what haunted him. Even with the uneasy feeling, Brooks never turned away from the scene. He knew taking it out would make the main point of the movie weaker. Satire has to take chances or it just becomes pretty stuff. What stayed with him was the duty that comes when you push buttons. Springtime for Hitler worked because it was brave. It haunted him because it showed how easy meaning can break when laughs take over. Number 3, The Spanish Inquisition Musical in History of the World, Part 1. By turning terror into dance moves, Brooks questioned the serious respect people give to old cruel acts. The scene haunted him because it came too close to making real suffering seem small. Comedy can show cruelty, but it can also hide it. That pull between showing light and distracting never went away for him. History of the World Part 1 was made to crash different times together, each one blown up until its power broke. Brooks wanted to show how history often turns into just a show. Its bad parts get softer with time and repeats. The Spanish Inquisition part pushed that idea until it almost broke. Torture rooms became like stages. Tools for hurting became funny props. The song was bright, had rhythm, and was super cheerful on purpose, which clashed hard with the horror it was about. Brooks knew the uneasy feeling was needed. The question was if audiences would feel it or just slide by it. When you convert. No, no, no. When you confess. No, no, no. When the part was built to be impossible not to enjoy. The tune stuck in your head, the dances were amazing, and the jokes hit just right. Brooks thought that by making the song fun, he could show how easy it is for cruelty to feel okay once it's made fancy. As Mel Brooks once said, comedy lets you say things that would otherwise be unbearable. But he later said relief can come quicker than thinking. What bothered Brooks as time went on was how close the scene came to balancing what he meant and what people saw. Some viewers got the satire right away, as a strong no to how groups hide bad acts with fancy events. Others just liked the show, without the meaning. The song became famous, played again and mentioned without the background. Brooks saw that when humor is too smooth, it can soften the sharp part that was supposed to cut. Years later, Brooks said this scene showed him the limits of making things bigger. He said something like satire has to bother people before it can teach them. If the joke feels too easy, it stops working. That idea stayed with him because the Inquisition musical lived in that uncomfortable spot. Smart, uneasy, and dangerously fun. Brooks never felt bad about the scene, and he didn't try to make it softer. He thought history itself often gets made small by time, turned into fancy shows instead of real hurt. The musical was his way to smash that distance, even if people got it wrong. What haunted him was not how bold it was, but how easy songs and shows can quiet down the bad feelings. The Spanish Inquisition number lasts because it won't fix its own problem. It makes people laugh while asking them to wonder why. For Mel Brooks, that stuck tension was both why the scene worked and the heavy thing it left. Number 4, It's Good to Be the King. What was meant as a quick poke at total power turned into something that lasted way longer. The line got away from its joke and went into normal talk without the sarcasm. For Brooks, this moment showed a hard truth. Comedy can't decide how people remember it, only how it gets sent out. The phrase shows up quick in History of the World Part 1. Said casually, almost like no big deal. That was on purpose. Brooks wanted the line to feel easy, lick. A king with total power hardly notices how much he has. Total power, in his eyes, rarely says it's evil. It just enjoys. It thinks it's allowed. The humor was meant to bite because it was so simple. No big setup, just a quiet yes that no limits. Power likes being safe from everything. Music, it's good to be the king. What Brooks didn't expect was how fast the line would lose its place. People said it for fun. It became a saying used in normal talk, often without knowing the joke behind it. Over time, the sarcasm went away. The line started sounding less like making fun and more like agreeing. That change bothered Brooks. As Mel Brooks once said, once a joke gets a life of its own, you don't get to decide where it goes. The issue wasn't it being popular. It was flipping upside down. What was meant to show off stuck-up behavior got taken in by it. Brooks later said satire needs pushback. When that pushback goes away, the meaning falls apart. The audience remembers the words, not the thought behind them. Humor becomes just nice words instead of something hard. This moment stayed with Brooks because it showed the limits of what you plan. He always thought making things bigger could uncover truth, but this line proved how easy that can break. He later said something like comedy gets sent out, not kept safe. You send it with meaning, but you can't chase it forever. Brooks never turned his back on the line. He saw that people getting it wrong copied the same thing it made fun of. Power often takes words meant to hit it and uses them, and humor is extra easy to do that with because people want to repeat it. The line lasting became proof of that. It's good to be the king is still one of Brooks's most said lines, not because it explains bad rulers, but because it shows how easily people go along with it. That was the haunting part. The joke worked as art, yet it showed how easy satire can be remembered without thinking, and how laughs, once away from meaning, can quietly switch teams. Number 5, the blind hermit scene in Young Frankenstein. This scene mixed kindness and meanness with perfect care. The laughs came not from making fun, but from things that had to happen. What haunted Brooks was how close comedy can get to real hurt without going over. It reminded him that laughs are strongest when they know what they might break. Young Frankenstein was made with love. Unlike Brooks's sharper jokes on things, this movie came from respect, for old horror movies, for movie making, and for holding back. The blind hermit scene is near the heart of that idea. On paper, it's easy. A lonely guy giving food and help to a stranger. Brooks made it build slowly where kindness turns to mess because of what happens, not on purpose. No one in the scene is mean, and that's why it works. The laughs come slow. Every accident is by chance, every hurt. The audience knows what's coming before the people in it do, building tight feelings with every move. Brooks thought this was comedy at its most real. Laughs from things that can't be stopped, not from putting someone down. But that realness also made him uneasy. The hurt on screen feels true in the story, even when bigger, and the space between caring and finding it funny gets smaller every second. Brooks later said this scene scared him more than any big bold joke. As Mel Brooks once said, the best comedy hurts just enough to remind you that you're human. The blind hermit's giving is real. He doesn't deserve laughs at him, which makes the audience face why they laugh when nice things cause hurt. What stayed with Brooks was seeing that holding back can be more risky than going big. No shock here, no bad words, no clear person to hit. The scene depends only on timing and trust. Brooks later said something like comedy gets its strength from caring. If you don't respect the people in it, the joke falls apart. That respect keeps the scene from being mean, but it also makes the laughs more nervous. Over time, the blind hermit scene became one of the most loved parts of the movie. People laughed, often without seeing the quiet sad feeling under it. Brooks never felt sorry about the scene, but it stayed as a reminder. Comedy doesn't need to attack to hurt. Sometimes it just needs to wait. For Brooks, this moment showed the thinnest line comedy can walk. It proved that laughs often come from seeing weakness, good plans, things going wrong even with care. That nearness to real hurt was what haunted him and why the scene still lasts. Mel Brooks never went after easy feelings. He went after clear truth through mess, trusting that laughs could show what quiet hides. These scenes were never wrong turns. They were crashes between what he meant and what people saw, between making fun and truth, between what comedy dares to say and what people choose to hear. What haunted Brooks was not that people laughed, but that laughs sometimes came without thinking. Each moment reminds us that humor is strong because it's easy to break. It can fight power, show cruelty, or make pain softer, but only if we stay awake. Beyond jokes and clapping, these scenes last because they ask something from us, to think, to see, to ask why we laugh and what that laugh shows. If these moments stayed with you, share your thoughts below. And if you want more stories that look beyond the surface of cinema, consider subscribing. Some echoes are worth hearing twice.